It's time. The board is vertical for the first time ever in a video, and I've reached 200 subscribers. Thank you all again for that. And I promised once I hit 200 subs that I would go over my picks for the Pittsburgh Penguins all-time team, and that's a very big, dauntless task. But going over this, it was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Really, there's a lot of obvious ones, obviously, that you put on. Obviously, I'll say that again. And outside of that, I filled the team in with my opinion who, would be on the team based off of all 50 plus years of Penguins history. 5 Stanley Cups. Not every player on this team has a Stanley Cup. The rules for this are simple. 4 forward lines, 3 defensive pairings, 2 goalies. No healthy scratches, no honorable mentions, because if I do that, then I'm going to keep going off. I'm like, well, this player should make it. Well, this player should make it. Now, I'm drawing the line at 20 skaters. I will add a general manager, a coach, and 2 assistant coaches, and I'll put them on the board right now. Again, I didn't really have trouble with these guys as well because I think the names are pretty obvious. Badger Bob Johnson, in my opinion, even though he, tragically, his coaching career was cut short, I still think he's the greatest coach the Penguins have ever had. Won the Stanley Cup in 1991. Sadly, wasn't able to do so in 92 because he passed away. It's a great day for hockey. That's his term. And he's my head coach. Mike Sullivan. Yeah, Mike Sullivan's my assistant coach from what he's done, not only with the back-to-back cups, but keeping the Penguins a contender. He absolutely deserves it. And Scotty Bowman, who won the cup with the Penguins in 1992. He's arguably the greatest coach in NHL history, so it's nice to have that on this team. And then my general manager is Craig Patrick, who's always been a part of the Penguins organization and still is, even though he's not the GM, he's a scout. And, he drafted Crosby, he drafted Jagr, he drafted Lemieux. The Penguins would not be where they were now if it wasn't for Craig Patrick, who I'm glad I got his autograph. So to get started here, I already put up the big 4 with the Penguins. Jagr, Lemieux, Crosby, Malkin. I'm not even going to go over the awards and accolades that they've had. The Penguins have never won a Stanley Cup without one of those players on the roster. 5 Stanley Cups, 3, 2. It's Lemieux, Jagr, Crosby, Malkin. They're going to make the team. But on the first line, rounding out the first line, and keep in mind, again, I tried to keep players, with the players that they played in the same generation with. I have Kevin Stevens. He's 7th all-time in goals for the Penguins, 10th in assists, 9th in points, 1st in penalty minutes, and he's a Stanley Cup champion, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Stevens obviously fit in well with Lemieux, and, he's kind of the Chris Kunitz of the 1990s. And speaking of Chris Kunitz is my second-line left winger. And again, I don't think he's the second best left winger that this team has. I just would rather have him play with Crosby and Malkin, who he spent, however many years he did and won 3 Stanley Cups with him. And he's 3rd in plus-minus all-time for the Penguins, and he's 9th in goals, which is pretty surprising, given that, he wasn't the most skilled player by any means. Played a long time for the Penguins, and he was a damn good player, and I really do miss him. Obviously, he retired, but whatever. Third line is where things get interesting. As I mentioned before, I moved Malkin to the wing so that I would not just stack the centers, but, it's going to be stacked no matter what, because we have Ron Francis as your third-line center, and I'm already running out of magnets. I don't know what I'm going to do necessarily. Another Hockey Hall of Famer. We technically only had 1 so far with Lemieux, but Malkin, Crosby, and Jagr will be once they retire. Yes, Jagr's still playing. Francis is 6th all-time in points for the Penguins and 5th in assists. 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Absolutely worthy of being on this list as well. But, people always argue, and still to this day argue, what is the greatest trade in Penguins history? Is it the Ron Francis trade, or is it, in my opinion, what it actually is, the Phil Kessel trade? I know I'm biased, but Phil Kessel deserves to be on this team, the all-time team. Without Phil Kessel, the Penguins don't win cups in 2016 and 2017. He should have won the Conn Smythe in 2016, and I love the guy. I went on record. I love Phil Kessel. I miss him wholeheartedly. And, he did everything you wanted. He was a fierce competitor. He cared so much about this team. And he's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. You can never take that away from him. On the left wing, though, we have our first player which I love the Penguins so much, I can say this. We're on the third line right now, and we're to our first player that has never won a Stanley Cup. And that's Rick Kehoe. Rick Kehoe is 5th all-time in points for the Penguins, 6th in goals, 9th in assists, and 7th in games played. And you want to know why no one talks about him? Because he played for the Penguins when no one really cared. Played in the early 80s and the late 70s, long-time Penguin. I think he played for the Penguins for like over a decade. And a lot of people don't know about him because, one, he was never on a team that, was good because the Penguins were, kind of struggling. And two, he never won a Stanley Cup, and he's not in the Lemieux era or the Crosby era. He's in his own era, the Kehoe, Pronovost, Apps era. We'll get to one of those other names I mentioned later. But yeah, Rick Kehoe, your third line left winger. And as I just alluded to there, I have another player that kind of played in the Kehoe era before Lemieux got to town. And that's Jean Pronovost. I do not have a Jean Pronovost card, but I know that he is 6th all-time in games played by the Penguins, 5th in goals, 7th in points, and 5th in even strength goals. And again, same thing applies to him that applied to Kehoe. No one really cared, and no one kind of does care anymore about him because no awards to his name, no Stanley Cups to his name. Played for the Penguins when, no one really cared. But still, he put up points, and he kept this team and the franchise afloat. The left winger on the 4th line and the right winger on the 4th line were essentially traded for each other. So I'm going to put them up together, and that is Rick Tocchet and Marc Recchi. Two very good power forwards for the Penguins. Recchi spent a lot of separate stints with the Penguins. He played for the Penguins, moved on, came back, played for a different team, came back. He did a lot of that with the Penguins. Then he coached for the Penguins. Rick Tocchet as well. They're both Stanley Cup champions as players with the Penguins. Tocchet, of course, was an assistant general manager in 2016 and 2017. And then Marc Recchi's a Hockey Hall of Famer. So pretty damn good players for your 4th line. In my humble Owen opinion, Kris Letang is the best defender that the Penguins have ever had in history. I know the other guy, who is Paul Coffey. I'll put them up at the same time. I know there's a lot of debate on who is the greatest Penguins defender of all time, but I think Letang has, established himself as that. First and foremost, Paul Coffey's only won 1 Stanley Cup with the Penguins. He was not on both teams. He was only on the 1991 team, and he is a 4-time Stanley Cup champion, but that was with the Oilers, and he's a Hockey Hall of Famer, even if he didn't play for the Penguins. Paul Coffey was a journeyman. He played for a lot of different teams, not just the Penguins. Letang has only been with the Penguins for his entire career and is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion with them. Never won an individual award, though. Hopefully he can get a Norris before the end of his career. This year he's playing like he deserves it, but Adam Fox, I don't know. Kris Letang is 4th in games played in all-time Penguins history. That speaks to the level of how long he's been playing. He came in as a young player in the 2009 Stanley Cup run, and he's still playing to this day. I think they mentioned today on the broadcast that he's had 4 or 5 40-point plus seasons or something like that. He's not the best defenseman of all time, but he's a winner, and that's all that matters because, defense wins championships, and Letang's been a pretty damn good player. Another player that is top 10 in games played on the defensive side and has played in the current era is Brooks Orpik, who just recently retired last offseason or 2 offseasons ago. And he is a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Only one with the Penguins, the other one came with the freaking Capitals. But, Orpik played a long time from the Penguins, was drafted, and played all the way up until 2014, something like that. He is 10th in games played. He's 8th in games played and 10th in penalty minutes. On the other side is another player that is, kind of on the recent side of things. Well, not that recent. It's been over a decade since I think he's been in the league now. Dear Lord, yeah. No individual awards or accolades for this guy, but he is a Stanley Cup champion, and he was the Penguins' best defenseman in 2009, and that's Sergei Gonchar. Gonchar was so pivotal in that 2009 run. He was a power play specialist, could move the puck so well. And I know he's played for a lot of other teams in his career, specifically Washington. They went on to Ottawa. He was, he's a Penguin at heart for me. I grew up watching that 2008 and 2009 teams, and Gonchar was on both of them. And he was so pivotal to the Penguins there. And he deserves a spot on the D corps. And again, I put Gonchar and Orpik together because I wanted them to be like, oh, they played together, so there was like a pairing. Even though this player down here is a Hockey Hall of Famer, and, you know, he's a 4-time Stanley Cup champion, only 2 with Pittsburgh, and that's Larry Murphy, and I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to put him over here. Larry Murphy, incredible defenseman, very underrated because of Paul Coffey. But, you know, it cannot be overlooked how good at what he was at moving the puck. He doesn't hold any specific records in the top 10 in Penguins history, except for he is 5th all-time in plus-minus. And again, you know, a lot of defensemen aren't really going to hold your top 10 in scoring categories. But Murphy played a lot for the Penguins. He played a lot for different teams. Again, he's a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. I believe with the Red Wings were his other 2. But, you know, his first 2 were with the Penguins, and that's where it counts. And I debated about this last one a lot, and I don't have a card for him as well. It was going to be Randy Carlyle, and I know I'm kind of cheating here, giving an honorable mention name, but I'm putting Ron Stackhouse in. For those of you that don't know who Ron Stackhouse is, first and foremost, he is the most 70s, 80s looking man I've ever seen based off of his headshots. I've never seen him play because, 1, I don't have access to film from back then, and 2, I was negative 20 years old when he was, you know, playing. Stackhouse is 10th all-time in games played for the Penguins. And, you know, while that may seem like, oh, cool, he was in the lineup, I think that deserves some, you know, it garners some respect. Especially because he played for the Penguins when they were pretty bad. 70s and 80s. Again, he's in the Kehoe, Pronovost era. And while Kehoe and Pronovost were scorers and they're top 10 in all-time Penguin statistics, Stackhouse, you know, deserves some respect as well. The Stackhouse pick over Randy Carlyle was the only one that actually gave me trouble, really. Again, this was kind of easy for me to put together because you have a lot of obvious names, and that continues as we head into goaltenders, which, you know, go to the 1991 Stanley Cup eras and then go to the 2009, 2016, and 17 Stanley Cup era, and you have your 2 goalies. Marc-Andre, Fleury, and Tom Barrasso. I mean, there's really, if you guys want to debate this, I'll be really confused on why. Fleury is first in wins, losses, save percentage, goals against, Stanley Cups, he's got 3 of them. Barrasso was second in, you know, wins, saves, goals against. 2 Stanley Cups to his name. I don't really think there's a debate there. Matt Murray, maybe, but he didn't play for the Penguins that long when you look back on things. He's only played for the Penguins for, what, 3-4 seasons before he moved on, and looks like his career's going down the drain now. And that is it for my Penguins all-time team. Again, this was much easier than I expected because you have a lot of obvious names on there, and there they are. A lot of great players. And, you know, if I get a little sentimental here, the Penguins are so blessed with the amount of talent that has come to this organization. Even take away Mario, take away Crosby, take away Evgeni, take away Jaromir. There's still been a hell of a lot of talent through this organization. And I'm pleased to be a fan. I don't know when I'll do this video again because I don't think much could change over the next 5-10 years. But I'm hoping to have my YouTube channel for, you know, a long time. Maybe I'll do this in 5-10 years. But this is my 200 subscriber special. It is May 4th. I think it's Star Wars Day. May 4th, 2021. And here are my picks for the Pittsburgh Penguins all-time team. And I really don't think there's much debate here. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you don't like my opinions, if you don't like my picks, well, too bad. These are my own opinions. And also, there's a little bit of like lint on your screen. It's right next to the subscribe button, so you might want to hit that so you can get it off there. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.